And this is where MAGA comes to talk. Okay, so I saw a little bit ago what was one of the most bizarre liberal Trump conspiracy theories I've ever heard in my life. But then I started thinking about it, and while their conspiracy theory is out of this world insane, there is something. Oh, it's windy. The wind just blew down my phone. Little earthquake action there. Okay, hold on. All right, let's see here. It is so windy here. Okay. There we go again. Boom. Oh, I'm going to have to start over. Okay. I am back. Okay. I guess I'm going to have to hold the camera with my hand because it is windy, windy, windy. Holy smokes. Or if I could change the direction. But I'm not going to do that. This is the windiest I have seen. My goodness. I'm telling you, it's hurricane season. Welcome, everyone. Let me see if I can get this thing. So I heard, I heard this just bizarre Democrat liberal conspiracy theory about our favorite president, Donald Trump. And then I started thinking about it, and there may be, although not because this liberal knows what they're doing, there may be a little truth to it. So let me tell you what it is. Okay, I'll tell you the liberal conspiracy theory. Okay, and I just saw this. I'm going to play this. I'm sure I'll play the video of what I'm going to share with you on my next podcast episode because it's so bizarre. So they're talking about, and this is starting to spread in liberal circles. Okay, they're talking about the ballroom, and if you've seen the computer-generated imaging of the post-White House grounds with the ballroom, I think the White House would fit inside of it, right? It's pretty big. So what they think is that the ballroom is really a cover story. Now, that doesn't mean that Trump doesn't want a new ballroom, because even in his first term, he was talking about wanting a new ballroom at the White House, okay? So, you know, but this is what they think. They think that the ballroom is a cover story. Now, before I tell you what they think the ballroom is a cover story for, what do you think these liberal loons think it's covering for? What do you think? They have they think Trump has an agenda. So what do you think is the liberal conspiracy theory? And I'll give you a hint. It's not about donors or money. It has nothing to do with money. What do you guys think? The liberal conspiracy theory about the ballroom. What's it a cover for? Let me see if anybody gets it for a moment, then I'll tell you, because it's hilarious. But there may be a slight bit of truth to it. It has nothing to do with money or fundraising or donors, nothing financial. Tunnels, bunker, yeah, couple theories around that. Well, partially true. They think President Trump is building a bunker, okay, underneath the former East Wing, underneath the White House, or but the purpose of the bunker is so that when his term is up, he can lock himself in the bunker and maintain power and not relinquish the presidency to the next president after him. That's what they think it is. They think that he's building a bunker so that he can stay in power for the rest of his life. And to them, that makes complete sense. Now, with that being said, they may be actually building a bunker under there. I would not be, I know they're nuts, aren't they? They may be actually building a bunker under there or expanding the bunker under the White House, because I would imagine the bunker under the White House that was built during the Cold War has got to be so out of date, it may not even be functional. You know what I mean? I mean, when did they build the bunker under the White House, and when is the last time it got a renovation? And that would explain, having a proper bunker, because I remember on 9/11, which Mamdani thinks was an attack on Muslims, which I'm going to get to too. I remember President Bush after 9/11 said that Air Force One didn't work properly on 9/11. That, because Air Force One is a mobile command center for the commander-in-chief, and it didn't function. He couldn't talk to his military leaders or anything else. That's why he flew to NORAD. So after 9/11, they totally redid Air Force One to have a proper communication system. But that was 25 years ago, so who knows how, 24 years ago. But who knows how up to date that is. But I would not be surprised if they are building a new bunker or expanding and modernizing the old bunker and expanding it. Because whatever bunker they have down there has got to be totally useless. It's got to be totally useless, other than like a vault. And there hasn't been a major construction project at the White House in decades. And I bet you that the bunker, and now again, all this stuff's classified, we really don't know. My guess would be that the bunker at the White House was built when Truman gutted the White House. Because if you look at the photographs, it's all down to the basement. I mean, it's all down to the dirt. They ripped out everything. And I bet you that when they gutted the White House and rebuilt it, that was a cover story to build a bunker. Because, hey, listen, nuclear weapons were now a thing. It is very windy, so if the phone falls, I'll pick it back up. Now, all this stuff is highly classified, and we don't know. There's a lot of speculation going on. But my guess is the bunker was built when Truman gutted the White House. So when was that? Was that 40? When did they gut it? 48? What year did they gut it? Has anybody know? I don't know the exact year that they gutted the White House, but it was when Truman was president. So the bunker that's down there has got to be tiny, nothing like we've imagined in the movies, and also it's got to be tiny and out of date, and it probably doesn't have independent internet communications and such. And if you notice, I was a little surprised when the donor list came out on the ballroom that so many of the tech bros are in there, right? Google, YouTube here. Thank you very much, YouTube, for donating to the bunker. Amazon and others, right? So the tech bros donated to that. So I even though these liberal loons think that he's building a bunker so he can stay in power for the rest of his life, I think they are building. I think they are building a new bunker under the White House. I mean, look, there's been two attempts on Trump in the last week, right? The sniper's nest at the airport here in Palm Beach, which we've got no updates on, which tells us it's the real deal. And then the guy crashed into the White House gate with his car the other day. So what do you guys think? Yeah, Greenbrier. Yeah, it's like from the 30s, Greenbrier. So do you think, it's not that Trump doesn't want the ballroom, but it's really a cover to build a new bunker under the White House to the old, out-of-date one that is like, I guess that would be like 75 years old under there, right? We'll just say the bunker was, we'll round it to 1950. It's got to be just a tiny little place down there. 53, Truman. When they gutted, I'm telling you, when they gutted it's when they built the bunker. Mm-hmm. That's right, I'm telling you. And that would make total sense, taking down the old fallen apart East Wing. I think it's highly likely. It's highly likely. And if you remember, in the first term, they took Trump to the bunker at least twice. Okay? There was one time that was really freaking weird. This was in the first term. President Trump was in the middle of a press conference live on television in the White House press briefing room, and a Secret Service man or somebody came out, whispered in his ear, and he says, "I got to go." We found out later there was a security threat. They took him to the bunker. And then Antifa attacked the White House in the first term. If you remember, during the BLM summer and Antifa summer of rioting, Antifa attacked the White House and they took the first family into the bunker. Remember, there were a bunch of Secret Service agents were injured. So that's and I'll tell you this. I've mentioned this many times in the first term. And then I was proven right about this, although it hasn't been officially confirmed. In President Trump's first term, during his first summer at the White House, he went to New Jersey for a while they were doing renovations in the West Wing. And if you remember, they said they were putting in a new air conditioning unit. I don't think so. I think they were going through the West Wing to get out the bugs, the listening devices. And then we found out later that Obama had them leave listening devices to monitor Trump in the West Wing. So they did have a cover story to do the bug sweep of the West Wing in the first term. And the size of we don't know any of the details about the bunker run of the White House. My guess is the White House itself is tiny. It is tiny. It is out of date. It probably has no internet connection, or at least it's just regular internet like you and I would have in our home. It's probably not deep enough. There's probably no modern communications down there to speak of. It's probably just a vault. And when would they have done any work to upgrade it? The only time we know of when there's been major work at the White House was Truman gutting the White House. That's probably when they built it. And then Jackie Kennedy did some work on the Rose Garden as well as the interior, but the Rose Garden. And that was basically it. I'm not counting Obama with the basketball court. That doesn't count. And now this. And I bet you that the concrete over the Rose Garden, now they have that great Rose Garden patio area, and this is all about the new bunker. We'll never know because it's going to be highly classified and we'll never know anything about it. I mean, the threats are real. And President Trump, he likes things to be right when it comes to construction. I bet you that he's gone down in that bunker and he's like, this is like a submarine from the 40s. Yeah, we'll see. It's just a theory. What do you got? Do you guys agree with my bunker theory under the White House with the ballroom? It doesn't mean that Trump doesn't want the ballroom, because he talked about it in his first term. But the ballroom, they're using it as an opportunity to have a good cover for the construction of it. Do you guys agree with that? Yes or no? With my little bunker theory. President Trump's very smart. I told you a bit ago, all these tech bros that donated to the, I think, and one of the, who was talking about this? Was it Victor Davis Hanson? I want to say this was Victor David Hanson, but I could be wrong about this. If you've heard what I'm going to say now and you know who it was, let me know. But Victor Davis Hanson's name comes to mind when I think about this. President Trump, early on in this term, got the tech bros on his side, right? And I'm pretty sure it was Victor Davis Hanson who said this, because I didn't think of this, and I'm pretty sure it was him. But if it was somebody else and let me know. That when Doge came in, and we heard a lot with Elon talking about how when somebody from the federal government processed their retirement, it had to go through this thing in the mountain with the elevator where the records were. It was all done like it was done in the 50s and 60s. And one of the things that President Trump, now this is what, I'm pretty sure this was Victor Davis Hanson that said this. This wasn't my theory, but it makes sense. He early on got the support of Bezos and the tech companies, and he made a deal with them, so goes the theory, and I believe this is true, to modernize the federal government using Silicon Valley. And that's how he got Silicon Valley on his side in this second term. And I think that's very true. Obama built a basketball course, basketball course, basketball court. Obama built a basketball court so that he could look like he was down with the black people. That's it. But there may have been something to that too. I mean, look at the library. Look at Obama's library. That's cost like $1 billion. They have nothing. Some phallic symbol in the dirt in Chicago. Give me a break, you know. So anytime Obama does remember the Obamacare website? They had a friend do it, and they did it like on WordPress or something. It was so ridiculous. So anytime Obama's involved in something, it costs a lot of money and it doesn't work. That's right. But I think that's what's going on with the ballroom, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you guys agree. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I am in I'm in front of a Starbucks, and of course Starbucks is open. I got my coffee. There is a restaurant here. There's a few things open here. This guy just pulled up in the parking lot, parked, got in his car, old man, walked up to the bushes and just peed right there. Why didn't he go inside Starbucks and pee? I can understand if you got to go and there's nowhere to go, but this is open, that's open. Why didn't he go in here and pee? Why did he pee there? And not only did he pee along the bushes in this well-lit parking lot, mind you, that's a very busy main road that he exposed himself to when he was doing it. That makes no freaking sense. And now he's got in his car and he's driving off. Oh my gosh. That's just ridiculous. Why didn't he just go inside Starbucks? It's open. It's obvious it's open. I'm here. There's cars in line at the drive-thru. How bizarre. How bizarre. That makes absolutely no sense. Drunk. He's an older guy. I'll see if he drives by me here. Drunk is possible because he got in his car, turned it on, put the reverse lights on, and now he turned the car off again, so he very well could be. It's a pretty new car, so it's not like a homeless person. Whatever. This is not the kind of area where people do such things. He's lucky he doesn't get arrested. This is not the kind of place where people pee in public in this neighborhood. I'm not going to tell you where I am, but it's not that kind of neighborhood. Very strange. Very strange. But we'll never be able to see it because it would be classified top secret. But would you not love to see the bunker under the White House that Trump builds? It's got to be the most beautiful bunker, most high-tech bunker you could imagine. No doubt about it. If you're new to my channel, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. It's pretty windy, but can you hear the wind? Now, I'm hitting the mic now, but can you hear the wind on the mic? Is it picking it up? I was touching it with my finger, but now is it picking it up? It is really windy here. It's a pretty new mic, so it should do okay with the wind. I was going to bring my handheld, but I thought, yeah, let me try this. It's good, great. I mean, it is really windy. It's really windy. Wind gust, too. Well, yeah, I think that's going on. And I've been following Trump on this trip. I'll talk more about that, his trip. He's signing all these deals on the podcast and on the show tomorrow. And I'll probably podcast this afternoon. I was going to podcast this morning, but I decided I need to just do a little rest and relaxation. My wife says I need to rest a little bit more, especially on Sundays. Did any of you catch me on Newsmax yesterday? It will be running again today, twice today. Windy Bell. Check your local listings on Newsmax for whatever time zone you're in. Here on the East Coast, it was 3 in the afternoon and yesterday, and I don't know what time last night, but look at your local listings. Yeah, the guy that I was on there with, on the panel, I was really excited. When I'm on these shows, I don't know who's going to be on the panel with me until they do the introductions. And the guy that was on, thank you very much. They've had me on quite a bit. I've been on quite a few of their shows. Rob Carson, the guy, and as soon as I heard his name, I was like, oh man, he's the guy. He wrote the comedy bits for Rush Limbaugh. So I was like, holy crap, and those are funny as it gets, man. I love those things. He's hilarious. Remember Rush's comedy bits? So I was like honored to be on with him. He's very good, yeah. Yeah. Rush's comedy bits were hilarious. Very, very funny. And they were always very timely. I remember like it, and the Rush is kind of like the Rush Limbaugh program, not show program. The Rush Limbaugh program was like almost like the originator of the meme. Rush and his team started doing memes before a meme was even a word, probably. And he would put them on rushlimbaugh.com. So I was like very excited to be on with him because he worked with Rush, was close with Rush, and was a big part of that show. So Rush Limbaugh should not be forgotten. Yeah, I was talking a couple weeks ago, and a bunch of people sent me links, and they were good, but I am surprised. You can find, on Apple Podcast and such, there's a Rush Limbaugh page where they have like clips of Rush, but I don't understand why they don't have all of Rush Limbaugh's shows archived somewhere, right? Like me, my shows are archived on YouTube, and my podcasts are archived in their entirety on the different podcast platforms. And way back when I first started, I have boxes of cassette tapes, believe it or not, and they're still good, of me. I don't play them or anything because they're embarrassing, of when I first started on the air. And but I wish that they had an archive of Rush's old shows. And I was thinking about getting I wanted to get a refer. The reason I was thinking about it, I was like, man, I really would like to listen to those old Rush Limbaugh shows. And even though they're dated and everything else, I don't care. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm gonna go and get a refurbished iPod and do it. The copyrights? No, I figured that his estate must own the rights to them. The EIB network, there must be, that entity must still be somehow in operation that has the rights to those programs. I don't know if it's the same people that run this Bucky crap that they try to pass off as the new Rush Limbaugh show. Clay Aiken and Buck Sexton. They suck. I mean, to put them on in place of Rush is a disgrace. First off, Buck Sexton is isn't he a CIA officer? But I'd love to have an iPod filled with all the old Rush Limbaugh shows. But you can get clips of them, like on Apple Podcast and stuff, but they're just clips. Yeah, cassette tapes, yeah. Okay, so the guy that peed in the bushes is now walking over here. He's got a laptop briefcase. This is so freaking bizarre. The guy that peed in the bushes, he's coming to the Starbucks now. He has his laptop briefcase and a clipboard. and he's coming to Starbucks to go inside and I guess do work inside Starbucks. Then why the hell did he pee in the bushes? What the fuck? It's just bizarre. Unbelievably weird. Unbelievably weird. I mean, I don't know. Very strange. He's elderly. This Starbucks, I came here, some of you may have seen this. This had to be a couple years ago. I was at this Starbucks. It was later in the morning and the sun was out. There used to be a homeless guy. You know, Starbucks used to let homeless people live at their restaurants, at their facilities. They've run them off now. They would let them use the facilities and get free water, but now you have to make a purchase to get free water. And they used to have a homeless guy who lived right here, and he had a CPAP machine plugged into their outlet here, and he'd sleep out here with his CPAP machine on all night. And I used to come here and live stream every weekend for a little while, and you know, like I am now, I'd have, and there was no Trump 2028 hat then, I had the Make America Great Again hat on. And then the homeless guy would hear me, and he was starting to get pissed because liberal. And then there was this other creepy liberal guy who was here, and he started sitting behind me, so you'd see him over my shoulder, sneering and judging me the whole time I was live streaming. And I don't mind that. I still came. Screw him, you know. And but then there was a guy. You remember that? But then there was a guy. Sue remembers. Then there was a guy who wasn't one of the regular liberal loons, who came here and started talking to me about politics. And he was kind of nice at first, and he had all these political things on his car that he wanted to show me. So I got up, I was sitting right here, he was parked right over here. I got up on the live stream, and he started showing me things on his car. I can't remember what was on his car, but it was so bizarre. And then he started calling me, because I guess he heard me talk about My Pillow, which, by the way, guys, use my promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, at checkout at mypillow.com. Mike Lindell, of course, has been sponsoring the extended programming that I've been bringing you the last couple of months, and we're coming up on the end of the month, and the first Monday of November, I'll have a meeting with them. They're gonna let me know if they're gonna continue. So go to mypillow.com, use my promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, so that Mike Lindell will continue his support of the expansion, the early show in the morning, and doing the show during the radio breaks and all that I've been doing, the early 30 minutes to an hour in the mornings. That's all sponsored by My Pillow. So you gotta use my promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, at mypillow.com. By the way, my wife was telling me last night she's ordered some more towels. She said the towels are fantastic. She loves the towels. So if get the towels, they're unbelievably good. But anyway, so he started showing me his car, and it had political things on it. And I can't remember what they were. I thought, because he was kind of nice, I thought he was MAGA. Then I get to the car on the live stream, he starts yelling at me, calling me a grifter, and then he started cussing and saying all kinds of crazy things. I deleted the stream because I didn't want to give the guy any publicity. The guy was crazy, and he had an expensive car, and he had like a Mercedes or a BMW, one of those. And he's calling me a grifter. I was like, what are you calling me a grifter for? Making a living? I said, how do you pay for your Mercedes? How do you pay for your BMW? Whichever it was. We were arguing right here. And then he got really threatening in my face. And I'm like, whew. So I didn't come back here to live stream for a long time. That was like a couple years ago. Yeah, I know, it was crazy. And I deleted the stream because I didn't want to give the guy the publicity, right? And then about sometime during the campaign, I saw him on local television getting interviewed, waiting for Trump outside Mar-a-Lago, and he was saying crazy crap. Then, he was what he was. He was fake MAGA. He was one of those guys that pretends to be MAGA and then says crazy, stupid, bigoted crap to make us look bad. It was kind of scary, to tell you the truth. He was really, he didn't look sane. And when, I'm not afraid of people unless they're crazy, right? When people are crazy, that's when you got to worry. We do have open carry in Florida. Now, you gotta be worried about crazy people. Yeah. Liberals. Sometimes you'll hear them call me the fake MAGA. Somebody called the other day. I can't remember what it was that they had said, but they started saying some racist. They want to be fake MAGA, say racist. If MAGA were racist, they wouldn't have to pretend to be us and say racist stuff. It would just be out there. Now, one thing I'm gonna share the video of this on my next podcast. But did you see? Mom Donnie is hitting hard that he's Muslim now. And I'm going to play the video of this on the next podcast episode so you can hear the whole thing. But he's talking about 9/11, and he's talking about was his grandmother she couldn't wear her hijab and all this stuff. And after 9/11 because of this and this and that. And, when you listen to Mom Donnie, his 9/11, the impact of 9/11 is that he says his grandmother couldn't wear her hijab. First off, I'm calling bullshit on that whole story, but if that is, when you listen to Mom Donnie, he believes that the victims of 9/11 were the Muslims. That's exactly what I took from that. 9/11 wasn't about someone not being able to wear a hijab. Okay, I flew right after 9/11. I flew to Boston, I flew to New York, and I got stopped, and I talked the other day, I was changing planes in New York, and I was really tight. I was not gonna, I was really tight, right? Like I wasn't sure I'd be able to make it. Hold on, guys. Another weirdo, but hey, it's not even 6 a.m. yet. I'm out on the streets. What do I expect? This is not my neighborhood that I'm in. I'm not in my usual places. I'm at an undisclosed Starbucks. And I ran, this was right after 9/11, and I was running, and because I was running, I got flagged. They went through all my crap. They went through all my bags, and when I'm traveling alone, I don't check my bags. I carry everything on, and even if you see me on the cruises, when we go on the cruise, if you see me get on board and off the ship, I bring all my stuff with me. I do carry on the ship, on and off. I don't check my bags ever. And so I had all my stuff. They emptied out everything, my underwear and everything. And then they asked me, why did you not check your baggage? Why is everything I carry? But Mamdani, his mother couldn't wear her hijab. Well, or his grandmother. Well, a lot of people don't have a grandmother today because she died on 9/11 on an airplane, or, in the field in Pennsylvania, the World Trade Center, maybe the Pentagon. But to Mamdani, his 9/11 experience was the negative impact on the Muslims. The Muslims were not the victims on 9/11. 9/11, it wasn't even, while technically it was an attack on New York City, but I remember I would talk about this when the 9/11 families were all, they were liberal front group, the 9/11 families, a lot of them, and they were trying to make everything about them. 9/11 wasn't an attack. While technically and geographically, it was an attack on New York City, it was an attack on DC. But what it really was overall was an attack on the United States. It's like the attack on Pearl Harbor wasn't an attack on Hawaii, it was an attack on the United States. It was an attack on our entire way of life, our entire nation. But to him, 9/11 is about people being concerned about Muslims after 9/11, and when he was out there talking that way over this weekend, it's scary. So if you're in New York and you don't turn out to vote against this guy, you deserve what the freak you get. You know, I mean, you deserve what you get. I mean, I'm done trying to convince New Yorkers not to vote for this guy. Okay, what's going on with Mamdani in New York City is god awful, and he's out there bragging. If you watch Mamdani over the weekend, he did I'm going to play all this on the program. He had this press conference about his grandmother couldn't wear her hijab after 9/11. My goodness, I mean, how old was he on 9/11? Does anyone know how old was Mamdani on 9/11? Does anyone know? I've never bothered to check. If somebody could check, let me know in the chat. How old was Mamdani on 9/11? Does he even remember it? Really? Remember it? 7? Really? That was a scary day. That was a scary day. But anyway, the reason I call total bullshit on that story of his, even 10 or 11, he can't relate. And where was he on 9/11? Does anyone know where was Mamdani living on 9/11? Does anyone know? Was he in the United States or was he in Uganda still? Does anyone know? Where was Mamdani on 9/11? Does anyone know? I'm going to look into this. I'll verify all of it. Uganda, I think he was. I'll verify this before I podcast today. So, okay, so he was 10 in Uganda. Remember that movie, great movie from the 50s? What is it, Stalag? Is it Stalag 17? The World War II movie. Where they're all in the prison camp. Remember that? Is it Stalag 17? Is it 17? I want to say 13, but I think 13 was Hogan's Heroes. Stalag 13? Okay, Stalag 13. Not the Stalag in Hogan's Heroes, the classic movie. Was it Stalag 13? 17. Yeah, it was 17. Yeah, Stalag 13 I think was Hogan's Heroes. Stalag 17. So, well, anyway, you know the movie. They have a German spy. Remember this? They have a German spy in their barracks. Does anyone remember how they found out who the German spy was inside their barracks in Stalag 17? Yeah, 13 was Hogan's Heroes. 17's the movie. Yep, Peter Graves was the spy, but do you remember how they found him out? They were talking about what they were doing when Pearl Harbor got attacked, and he was eating lunch or something, right? And William Holden, he said, eating lunch. Yeah, it was lunchtime in Germany. Remember that? It was in the movie, very dramatic, right? Now this is my opinion, and let me know if you agree with this. To understand 9/11 today, you have to be an American, and in the United States at least in the United States at the time of the attack. If you're a Muslim guy in Uganda, I love William Holden. Absolutely, William Holden's awesome. Do you know who William Holden's brother is? Anyone know? Who was William Holden's brother? So, how can you have any understanding of 9/11 when you were 10 years old when it happened and you're in Uganda? Right? And then tell us, I was going to bring the MAGA scooter, and I'm glad I didn't, because it stopped, but it was sprinkling. Good, I'm glad it stopped. I brought my car. So, I think we got kind of like a Peter Graves Stalag 17 thing going on here, right? And he can't understand it. Yep, my Vespa. But and they don't really want to call him out on it because they don't want to be called an Islamophobe or something, If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, guys, okay? But no doubt in my mind that in a normal situation, that would be a disqualifier. Oh, so I also call bullshit on that story because it's an update of a story that Obama used to lie about with his grandmother. Okay, so Mamdani's trying to make himself, his family, and Muslims the victim of 9/11. Oh, after 9/11, my grandma couldn't wear her hijab. Oh, well, you know, I didn't know that's what it was about, 9/11, the attack on America. But I don't believe the story. And the Obama used to tell this bullshit story about his grandmother. Remember that he talked about this in his book, and I had the clip. I used to play it because, of course, Obama, being a narcissist, narrated his own autobiography, and he said, when my grandmother was on a bus, she used to take the bus to work in Hawaii. And a black guy would get on the bus, she would hold her purse tight. She would clutch onto her purse if a black guy got on the bus when she was going to work at the bank. His grandmother. He used to throw his grandmother on the bus. He used to talk about that all the freaking time, Obama. And this Mamdani story is kind of like an updated twist on that, you know? So I'm calling plagiarism on that. Yeah, there's two black people in Hawaii, Barack and some other guy. Yeah, Frank Marshall Davis, right? Frank Marshall Davis was the other black guy in Hawaii at the time. Yeah. You should clutch your purse if Frank Marshall Davis came near you. Very dangerous guy. But, no, but that... For him to equate 9/11 to his grandmother in the hijab is disgusting and disrespectful, I believe. You guys agree with that, you know? To be running for the mayor of New York City 24 years after the attack on America that brought down those buildings, to try to turn 9/11 into the victims being Muslims is insanity. It's complete insanity. That's like turning slavery, making the victims the Scarlett O'Hara crowd that lost their slave plantations. You know, I know Gone with the Wind kind of does that, but it was racist. My wife and I watch Gone with the Wind once a year. I love the movie, but it's an American classic. But the victims really are not Ashley Wilkes and his family and Scarlett O'Hara's family, right? They're not the victims. The victims are the slaves. You know, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. So, you know, but if we can't convince the New Yorkers to do the right thing, you know, what are we going to do, right? I can't vote in New York, you know, and I've got a lot of listeners in New York. A lot of people listen to me online in New York. And a lot of people watch here on YouTube in New York. So I hope I can have some small impact, but, you know, I wish I was on the air on WABC in New York and could talk about this on the radio there, because it's very, very important. By the way, make sure you look for me on Newsmax today. I'll be on Wendy Bell this afternoon, and it does run in the evenings as well. Check your local listings for Wendy Bell on Newsmax. I was on yesterday, and it'll be on today too. See, Brooklyn, yeah, a lot of New Yorkers. Well, you got to check your local listings for Wendy Bell. Depends on where you're located. You know, it's on at different times in different time zones. So check your local listings, Wendy Bell on Newsmax, and you'll see me there today. Yeah, Wendy Bell is very good. Yep. Very good show. Yeah, she is excellent. She is excellent. No, I mean, that to me is just disgusting. I mean, come on. You know, people, I never thought New Yorkers would forget about 9/11. It was sprinkling here a few minutes ago, just briefly. You know how in Florida it can rain for like 10 seconds and stop, but it stopped. But I'm in my car, thankfully, so. People forget, it was a scary time. I mean, imagine people trapped in the building above the crash site, no hope of rescue, jumping out of the buildings out of human instinct because they were in a room that was consumed with fire, and their human instinct, who wants to, you know, your instinct wants you to survive every millisecond you can, they jump out of the window because they got a few milliseconds to, I mean, it was god-awful. Just god-awful, 9/11. And people forget. They have forgotten. And it's really sad that they've forgotten in New York. You know, I found what he said incredibly offensive. 9/11's about his grandmother and her hijab. I found that, is that offensive? I think it is. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, you know, they'll only, you know, because New York is Democrat, you know, liberals are messed up. Liberals are messed up. Yeah, you know, we were on the air when 9/11 happened. We used to be on the air till 10. The Steve Kane Show used to be on till 10. We go off at 9 now, but we used to go on till 10. And we were on the air when it happened. The mic I use in the morning was the mic I have. I've had that microphone since 98, that mic I use. And I was talking into that on 9/11, that mic. No, it's a historic mic, my 9/11 mic. I remember I got it in 98 because we moved into that studio in 98. Mm-hmm. But I'm in shock when he comes out and says something like that. Oh, here they are with their fake story that Trump gave billions of dollars to Argentina. He didn't give anything to Argentina. It really shows you how stupid the trolls are in the chat. They try to act like they're informed, and they just repeat lies that people tell. President Trump hasn't given 40 cents to Argentina. Nope. I've explained this on every live stream this is probably the 6th day. Okay, I'll tell it again briefly. Argentina needs $40 billion to prop up their economy. They're trying to get $20 billion in loans from financial institutions. President Trump isn't giving them anything. President Trump said if the president's party wins election, they got an election coming up, if they win election and keep the majority in their legislature, that the United States will buy 20 billion US dollars worth of Argentinian pesos to prop up their currency, which means already Trump's going to make money instantly, because if it props up the currency, the pesos he buys are worth more than 20 billion US dollars. I don't know where you guys get these talking points that just make you look and sound stupid. At least try to sound informed instead of spewing this crap. I do call-in shows pretty much every day. And my source for that, public television, PBS, reported that. Others have too, but I got it from the most liberal source I could find. PBS reported what I just shared with you. You can look it up. I tweeted it at the beginning of the week. So if you go through my Twitter feed, you'll find it. MAGA truth, man. MAGA truth. A truth you don't want to hear, but it's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is not where I normally am. I'm at an undisclosed location. You got to be careful. It is windy, though. So next weekend, I will be in Orlando with my daughter. So I'll be I'll be live streaming from Orlando. Maybe I'll live stream from my hotel room next week. I'm going up Friday when I get off the air. I was going to take the high-speed train, but I've got a meeting up by the radio station Friday, and that's like almost an hour north of where I live, so I'm a good chunk of the way there, so I'm just going to drive there when I get off the air to Orlando to go to Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. And I am going to make a YouTube video for my other YouTube channel on my trip to Halloween Horror Nights. Uno Pizza's awesome. Yep. I got to change my hotel reservation today though, because I got a hotel, and then I looked at it online, and I didn't like the room when I saw it on YouTube last night. So today we got to make a change. They did not give me the room I thought I got. I'm glad I looked. If I'd have gotten there, I'd have been stuck and pissed. So I'm going to make the change today. Or my wife will. My wife handles all that stuff. I get too frustrated. Yeah, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. Yeah, because I'll still get up early, you know me. I'll still be up at like 4 a.m. And they have the hotel I'm going to stay at, they have a Starbucks there. So I'll get up in the morning, go to Starbucks, and then I'll live stream. Like I do here. Oh, helicopter flying over. It's flying low. Sounds military. Could be going to Mar-a-Lago. It's cloudy, so I can't see it. Oh, yeah. It is military. Let me see. There's an umbrella over me. Hold on. Holy crap. It's military, and it's flying directly towards Mar-a-Lago. Wow. I wonder what that's about, because he's not here. It's a big one. I only see one. No, he's not here. They have Secret Service year-round, even when he's not here. No, there's two. There's two of them. Wow. There's the second one, and they're identical. It's a little dark, and I can't see the logos on them. No, there's two of them, at least. Yeah. It came in right behind it. And it's going the same flight path. It's the same type of helicopter. The one went there. Oh. Now the guy that peed in the bushes instead of in Starbucks just came out of Starbucks. It's hard, it's a little dark, so I can't get a good look at them. But they're military. Let me see. No, I just can't. It's too dark. Too dark. Can't get a look at it. This guy that peed in the bushes is a freaking weirdo, okay? He pees in the bushes, then he goes inside Starbucks that has bathrooms. Now he came back out to his car. Now he's going back in Starbucks again. I don't know. Maybe. He's going back inside now. Very bizarre. This is a very strange man. He's probably 65 or 70. Early morning drunk? I don't know. He walked into Starbucks. He got out of his car, peed in the bushes. Then he went in Starbucks with his computer and stuff. Then he came back out to his car, got something, and went back in Starbucks. He was probably drunk, early morning drunk, maybe. Maybe. When they had, a few months ago, when they had there's been a few times when I've seen them scramble the fighters for Mar-a-Lago. And the first time I talked to them, the first time was crazy, because the first time, it was in the first term that the fighters went over my house going supersonic. They never go supersonic over residential, and a bunch of crap in my garage fell and the whole house vibrated. Everybody was talking about it all over town. But a few months ago, it was on a Saturday, and I'm pretty sure I got my phone out here and live streamed. There were fighters on patrol, out of the blue, fighter jets over my house doing a patrol like these helicopters are. And then I found out either later that day or the next day, I don't remember, it was a few months ago, that somebody had violated the airspace at Mar-a-Lago and the golf course. And the president was in town. So they got out the fighters. But he's not here now. But I don't know what the helicopters are doing, because they're flying low. That's how you know, the military helicopters, they fly low and they're loud. But I've seen the jets scrambled a few times, maybe 5 or 6 times. I've seen them scramble the jets for Mar-a-Lago. But the one time they went supersonic, that was freaking insane. Now that when the golf course and the Mar-a-Lago airspace, they had multiple violations over a weekend. The president was here, and he was playing golf that day. Not only did they scramble the jets, they were doing these massive patrols, and you could see them. It was they had a squadron and multiple, and you could see them doing a massive patrol. Very far north to the golf course and very far south, like as far south as like Fort Lauderdale. And they were just going around on patrol in circles, and it went very fast. They weren't going supersonic, but they were going. They were going pretty fast. They don't mess around. Nope. Good MAGA morning to you. Good MAGA morning. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. But now, if you just joined, go to the beginning of the stream, and I was talking about. I don't want to go through it now again, because it's the beginning of the stream. So go back and watch it if you're just joining. But I was going through something that Trump's doing at the White House that they're using the ballroom for a cover for. So you can go back and watch that. Well, listen, guys, I'm going to take off. Have a great day. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Take care. Talk to you soon.